here and pop my camera on for a second so you can all see me. Can you see me? Yes. Okay. I'm going to start by introducing myself. My name is Debbie Wise, and I work for NeighborWorks America as the Workforce Development Manager. On the webinar today, co-presenting with me is Charlotte Weltsey. She is our VISTA leader, and she's going to be going through some of the slides with me. And then also on the webinar today is Tina Dunphy. Tina is the CNCS Ohio State Program Director. Tina and I work closely together on this program, and in fact, we've been working together for a little over 10 years now. CNCS has been a great partner over these years, and we are very fortunate to have the support of Tina and her staff. I really can't say enough good things about them, but we only have an hour and we have some slides to get through, so I am just going to move it along. So I am going to start by briefly going over the agenda in 1 second. Okay, just give me 1 second, folks. We're having a little technical difficulty, so I'm going to pull this down and bring it back up real quick. Just hang tight. Okay, so over the course of the next hour, we are going to cover the key players in VISTA. We are going to go over the mission, the benefits of service, restrictions involved. We're going to touch on recruitment and engagement. And I say touch on because we're going to be having a second webinar Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time this week. And that webinar is going to be 100% devoted to recruitment and what's involved with that. So I'm not going to get into it too much today. And then I'm going to touch on some of the training that's involved and the reporting requirements. And this is really just to give you an overview because as we move along during this process, you'll be getting more information as you need to know it. So I don't want to overload you today with too much. I just want to give you a taste of the program and what to expect. So with that, Tina, I believe you may have prepared some opening remarks. So I will go ahead and hand things over to you. And if you feel like talking about the first few slides, I will let you do that as well, or we can do that together.
Great, thanks, Debbie. I appreciate the fact that you think I'm prepared in my remarks, but it's great to be with you all today. It's always exciting when we have a cohort of new VISTA sites coming on board. As Debbie said, we've been working together now for 10 years, and it's been a real pleasure to work with Debbie and her team. There's been a lot of VISTA leaders over the years, including Charlotte, who've just been outstanding in supporting the members and the project as a whole. And it's, you know, this is one of the projects, one of the national projects that is held in high esteem at headquarters. NeighborWorks has done just an outstanding job over the years of putting processes in place, all that, you know, administrative stuff that you all don't have to do, policies and procedures and Debbie's just done an outstanding job of that over the years. And so it's been a distinct pleasure to work with the project. And, you know, you guys have a great reputation. We love the fact that many of your sites, and this isn't an expectation, but many of the sub-sites in the project have seen the value that the VISTA members have brought to their organization. And the VISTA members have likewise seen, you know, the great things that their organizations that they've served with have accomplished. And so you have a high, actually, employment rate of VISTAs once they complete their term of service. So that's a great thing to tip our hats off to. So, and Debbie, I'm going to let you go over the slides. I will pipe in if needed. But again, I want to thank everybody for being here, and it's been a real pleasure. And I'm looking forward to getting to know you over the next year or so.
Okay, great. Thanks, Tina. I'm just going to ask Charlotte to break in if you're typing in any comments, and then Charlotte will come in with those as we go along. So what you're looking at right now is basically the structure of CNCS. At the top, you see the Corporation for National and Community Service. This is the government agency that administers the AmeriCorps program. They also manage Senior Corps. We're not going to get into that today. We are strictly VISTA, and as you can see on the diagram, VISTA falls squarely under AmeriCorps. Then there are two other programs off to the side. You'll see NCCC and state and national grants. That's not us, so we're not going to get into those on this webinar. If you do have questions about any other CNCS programs, please reach out to me and I can put you in touch with the right folks. But this webinar is just about the NeighborWorks VISTA program and how we partner through CNCS to deliver it. So under VISTA, you'll see a line going right to state offices. And right now, CNCS is in the process of moving from state to regional offices. So not all of these slides are going to be reflective of that because that's just an ongoing process right now. But the reason we have this on the slide is so you can see visually who it is that NeighborWorks America as the sponsoring organization works with. So most of my communication is with Tina and the state office. And on the right side of the diagram, this is where the NeighborWorks VISTA program falls under. The intermediary is NeighborWorks. So you'll see two purple houses, and those are the VISTA sub-sites. So that would be our NeighborWorks organizations. That would be you all that have applied and have been successful in your application and have been accepted into the program. And under those subsites, you'll see a couple of orange folks. Those are the site supervisors. And pretty much all of you on the call today. You are providing the day-to-day supervision of your VISTA members, and you'll see the VISTA members in blue right under the subsite supervisors. So that's the order of things. On the left side of the screen, you'll see an example of a single site, and that would be a situation where there is no intermediary. And that's just a different type of VISTA setup, but that's not what we have. So just keep in mind when we use words like intermediary or sponsor, we are always referring to NeighborWorks America. And all of you would be considered host sites or sub-sites of the program. And so as with all government agencies, CNCS does have an inspector general. It is an independent department of CNCS. And they audit the corporation for compliance with program operations. They do perform individual audits on grantees. That would be NeighborWorks, and sub-grantees would be you all for waste, fraud, and abuse. And the way VISTA headquarters is set up is there's 3 areas, all housed here in Washington, D.C. There's the management, which creates policy and translates regulation. There's the training unit, which is responsible for managing and scheduling all the training. And then there's a unit referred to as VMSU, which stands for VISTA Member Support Unit. And those folks activate the members, manage member benefits, and keep official member files. So oftentimes your VISTA members will interact directly with the VMSU. And then the other component are the state and regional offices. So Tina is with the Ohio State office, which is transitioning into becoming a regional office. And out of her office, they provide technical assistance to grantees. So in this case, NeighborWorks America. They monitor various programs for success, And they ultimately approve all VISTA placements, all VISTA assignment descriptions, and service opportunities. So when we start talking about recruitment, you will be responsible for doing all your recruiting, all your advertising, all your interviewing. You will select your VISTA candidate and recommend somebody to become a VISTA. But Tina's office, they're the ones that approve all the VISTA placements. So ultimately, they're the ones deciding on which candidate becomes a VISTA. And then they also assist in the design of VISTA projects. So what I was saying before about sponsors, so when you hear the word sponsor, just think NeighborWorks America. We're the ones that have the direct relationship with the CNCS office. We oversee all the VISTA operations for the project, and we handle the reporting to CNCS. So for the purposes of this program, you'll always be reporting into NeighborWorks. Compile that information, and we report on your behalf directly to CNCS. So that's one of the benefits of being part of a program like this, where NeighborWorks America is the intermediary. And then we also, through the subsites, manage all the VISTA members and the supervisors. We verify member attendance to CNCS, and then we also are the ones that communicate the rules and the regulations of the program to you and help you make sense of it all. And whenever you have questions, you come directly to us and we help you with those. So the chain of communication is, I will communicate directly with Tina and her office in CNCS. You will communicate directly with me. And then our VISTA members end up communicating directly with our VISTA leader, Charlotte, and you as well. So this is what the NeighborWorks VISTA team looks like. So as of now, there's myself, there's Charlotte as the VISTA leader, and then there's Tina representing the CNCS side of things. And you would be considered the host site or the sub-site. So your organization are the ones that house the VISTA members on behalf of the sponsor being NeighborWorks America. And so you have specific projects that you've identified in your application to us. And your projects align with the overall goals of the sponsor of NeighborWorks America. And our application to CNCS, our goals fall under economic opportunity, which is why all of your projects fall nicely under that focus area. And then as a subsite, you provide the workspace for your VISTA members, and you support VISTA member travel. So there's actually a few more things that you all do as subsites. This is just a very general overview, but we'll be getting into more specifics as the summer goes on and we get you ramped up to bring in your VISTA members. But I just want to point out that for those of you that might have questions about member travel for VISTA assignments, that's specifically referring to a situation where your VISTA member may have to travel outside of their normal commute for their VISTA assignment. And you'd be responsible for reimbursing that person for travel just like you would staff. So that's not referring to their everyday commute. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hand things off to Charlotte to talk a little bit about VISTA members.
Sure, so we're going to discuss just a little bit about who are VISTA members. So some of the main things to know are that VISTA members are volunteers who serve through the VISTA program, which you just heard a little bit about, the national program. They commit to serving full-time for a full year, 365 days of service. And technically, VISTAs are in service 24/7, 365, although they are expected to follow whatever your organization considers a full-time work schedule. VISTA members must be at least 18 years of age, but there is no upper age limit, so we really see a very wide range of VISTAs from all walks of life, all ages, all education levels, and the organization decides what the requirements in terms of education or experience are for their specific position. So the VISTA program as a whole was founded in 1964 under the Johnson administration as part of the War on Poverty. So the mission is to eliminate domestic poverty through placing individual volunteers at nonprofit organizations, and those volunteers work on capacity building, so creating sustainable structures that will help the organization function better. So I think being a VISTA member, I'll speak a little bit on behalf of them. I would say that the vast majority of VISTA members choose to serve because of that mission and because they believe in that mission. But there are also some benefits to service, and you can see them listed on this screen. These are things that you as supervisors and the ones recruiting VISTA members should be familiar with. So in the email that Debbie will send out later today, there will be links to information on benefits of service. But VISTA members often, or potential VISTA members often, have questions about these benefits when they're applying. So these are things that you should be able to answer their questions about and be familiar with yourselves.
Okay, so this slide covers a little bit about what sponsors and also subsites are prohibited from doing. So over the course of the next few weeks, like Charlotte said, you'll be getting some more email communication from me. And one of those emails is going to include a memorandum of understanding. So it's an agreement that you will fill out and sign and send back to NeighborWorks. And in that document, it just covers the responsibilities of all the parties very clearly. So if you have any questions about that, please do reach out to me when you receive it, but that'll be going out in a few weeks. And in that document, it talks about displacing staff or volunteers. You may not bring a VISTA on board to displace a staff position or something that was previously held by a volunteer. It requires members to, you are prohibited from having members participate in prayers or proselytizing or lobbying, and discriminating against or harassing members. All of that is outlined in your MOU. And then we'll be offering some additional trainings about what you need to know in terms of managing your VISTA member. And in those trainings, we'll cover issues when things might get a little complicated and you feel you may need to let your VISTA member go. You are prohibited from firing your VISTA. Only CNCS can do that. Your option in a difficult situation would be to work with us, and in some cases you may have to request their removal, but you may never fire a VISTA member. Nor can you ask your VISTA members to do any direct service as part of their assignment. There are some exceptions to the direct service, but they're very specific. If it's a case where it's all hands on deck and everybody is doing it, it's usually allowable. However, it's best to check with us. If the direct service is something that is necessary to educate your VISTA member, or if it's part of a limited training, then again, that would be okay, but also best to check with us. And then also in the case of an emergency situation and it's just a one-time thing and you need your VISTA member to step in, that would be acceptable. But if you ever have questions about that, and oftentimes people do because sometimes the line between direct service and capacity building can get fuzzy, you should always check with us and we will provide guidance on how to approach.
Okay, so there are prohibited activities for members as well, and these go along with what you just heard. The first one being proselytizing. So members cannot spread religious messages while they're on duty as VISTA members. And then there are also some political activities listed here. And those are actually covered under legislation that's called the Hatch Act, and we can share more information about that if anyone is curious. But the main thing to know here is that these activities are prohibited while a VISTA is on duty on the clock, so to speak, or representing VISTA in any way. So a VISTA member can certainly lobby in their free time, but they may not do so wearing any VISTA attire or representing themselves as a VISTA member. The same actually goes for social media. So that's something that's good to know, is that if your VISTA member, for example, has their job on Facebook as a VISTA member and is sharing political or religious messages, that can get tricky. So just something to be aware of. And then the other restrictions involve outside employment and school. VISTA members are allowed to have outside employment or go to school while they're in service. However, it cannot conflict in any way with their service at your site. So members are expected to serve in a full-time capacity as you define that at your site. And members are expected to follow all agency requirements for service hours. And must be available for said hours. So as long as a VISTA member's outside employment or school is part-time, not interfering with their service, it's allowable, but that has to go through us. So there is certain documentation that you will follow and send to NeighborWorks America in the case that a VISTA has one of those.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about VISTA member recruitment. And again, we're having a webinar this coming Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern time with one of Tina's staff, and they're going to go over all the components step by step, how to create your VISTA assignment description, how to load that to the eGrants system, and then how to post your service opportunity. So I'm just going to cover what you can expect to hear on Friday to give you an idea of what's to come. So if you're not already familiar with the term VISTA assignment description, or VAD, you will be. That basically drives the work your VISTA member is going to be doing throughout the course of the 12 months they'll be serving. So you'll need to create this description, and many of you have already laid the foundation down for what that's going to look like because we asked it in your application. So the good news is you've already given some thought and you responded to questions about specific objectives and tasks that need to go into these assignment descriptions. They are in the application that you already submitted to us. So I recommend that you refer back to your submission when it's time for you to formalize this assignment description. And in there is where you identify the skills that are necessary for your VISTA to be successful in that position. So definitely give this some thought, the same way you would to any job description. You're going to need to develop a recruitment plan and an interview plan. And we are here to help you with that and support you with that. You're going to be receiving a very comprehensive recruitment guide that we produced for you that takes you through this process step by step. And then once you have a solid understanding of what your VISTA position is going to look like, you have your VAD, you know what skills you're looking for, you are now ready to advertise the position. And you're going to be doing that through the My AmeriCorps eGrants portal, which is a national database that's operated by CNCS, but then you also should be advertising through your local networks as well. So you want to really attack it from both sides. I suggest doing a national search as well as a local search. That's really going to increase your odds of finding a really great candidate pool. And then the other thing you'll be doing is vetting these candidates. So you will be the ones conducting the interviews, the reference checks, having those conversations with candidates, deciding who's going to make the cut. You could have other folks in your organization be involved in that interview process, and I recommend that you do. You ultimately select your candidate and then send that selection on to CNCS, and then you'll be responsible for onboarding your candidate. And onboarding is actually a very important process in all of this, and we will be dedicating a whole separate webinar to onboarding your candidate later in this process. That'll come out, I think we have it scheduled for late July. You'll be producing an on-site orientation plan, and it's basically your introduction to the work in your organization and the community to your incoming VISTA member. So how do VISTA members receive their training? Well, once a VISTA member has been assigned, they will attend an online training that's provided by CNCS over the course of the first several weeks of service. And this is referred to as the VISTA member orientation, and you'll see us refer to it as a VMO. And that basically covers the rules and the regulations of the VISTA program, and CNCS goes over what they can expect during their year of service. So that's the training VISTAs get from CNCS. Subsites, you all are responsible for the on-site orientation. And that's what I was just talking about previously, and we'll have a whole webinar devoted for that. But that's where you introduce your VISTA to your staff, to your community, to coworkers. You cover workplace expectations and protocols. You could also have them join any new employee orientations that you have going on. And that's a very significant time for the VISTA member. You want to get things started off on the right foot. So it's important that you put thought into that training plan and what the first few weeks are going to look like for that VISTA member. And then NeighborWorks will offer virtual training for your VISTA members. So within those first few months of service, they will be invited to a welcome webinar as well as a reporting webinar that our VISTA leader will conduct. And then our VISTA leader also reaches out to every NeighborWorks VISTA and conducts these check-in calls. So we also work for you from our end, helping to orient and onboard your VISTA members. So as you can see, there's a few different players in this, all coming at it from different angles to provide support and training for your members. But I cannot emphasize strongly enough just how important your on-site orientation training is. You know, it's their first introduction to you and the work and the site. And you really want to make sure that you start things off on the right foot. And so we're going to help you with that process. And the way we're going to help you is we're going to offer you training. So all VISTA supervisors will be expected to attend an online training. It's actually a two-part training we're going to be offering in August. And we are inviting not just new supervisors and veteran supervisors, but also what we call project supervisors, or maybe the folks that are working with your VISTAs on a day-to-day basis. So some of our subsites are set up where there might be one main point of contact, one main VISTA supervisor, but then your VISTA may end up working much closer with a staff member who is really the person that oversees their day-to-day. We're going to want those folks involved in this training as well. And this is going to be something that CNCS and NeighborWorks is partnering on to provide to you. So it's Monday and Wednesday, August 12th and 14th. And I'll be sending these dates out in an email, so you don't have to copy this information down right now. But I just want you to mark your calendars and be aware of it. And this is really the training that you will be receiving from NeighborWorks and CNCS to help you manage a strong project and stay in compliance.
Okay, so this happens, you know, more often than anyone would like, I'm sure, but we do hear from VISTA members with them expressing that they are not happy during their service. And some of the most common complaints that we hear when that happens are that the staff at the organization don't know what VISTA is, don't know what the member is there to do and what their role is. And what goes along with that is using language that can offend the VISTA member, calling them interns, volunteers, you know, just a VISTA. And also what goes along with that lack of understanding is site staff asking members to do things that are not related to their project goals. And sort of on another note, members also sometimes complain that they're not able to see the impact on the community that they have in just 1 year. And I just want to touch on the fact, as a VISTA member, I can speak to this, and I have definitely experienced this, not in NeighborWorks, but in previous service. The reason that these things are so sometimes hurtful to VISTA members is the amount of sacrifice that it can take for a VISTA to be in service. And they are at the organization to serve the community and serve you, and they deserve to be appreciated and valued for the role that they do serve. So one really great way to avoid those type of issues at your site is to educate your team. Introduce what the VISTA program is to the staff at your organization. So that is going to involve outlining the project that the VISTA member will be working on, and part of that can be providing a copy of the actual VAD to other staff, and letting the staff know that the VISTA should be focused on the tasks in that VAD specifically. And then it would be inappropriate to assign the VISTA tasks outside of that. And explaining the impact that the VISTA can have and the reason that they are there, which is to serve, and sort of encouraging appreciation of that at your site. Some ways to engage and support your VISTA, just some ideas up here on the screen. Great ways to engage VISTAs are to invite them to general staff meetings, maybe ask them to prepare presentations for those staff meetings to keep your organization updated on what they're working on. Assign tasks that allow VISTA members to work with various departments so that they can really dive deep into what you do at your organization and explore their own interests. Get the VISTA member involved in the community, whether that's through community meetings or other ways. And you can read the rest of the ideas here. The point is that engaging and supporting VISTA members and educating your team can make a huge difference in how a VISTA feels about their service and their ability to complete their service.
So I'd just like to tack on to that what Charlotte is saying. If you haven't already picked up on it, you can see that, you know, VISTAs perform a tremendous service for you and your organization. And you need to be, I would say, equally as invested in that VISTA as an individual in providing proper supervision, support, mentoring, and coaching. It's very much a two-way street. This is not just all what you all can get out of it, and I'm here to tell you, you can get amazing things out of it. You know, when you do your due diligence, through your recruitment and you find that right person that's going to be a great fit for your organization, you will have a great year. You both will have a great year. But it really does take an effort on your part to be invested in that individual, and be willing to see that they have a successful, rewarding year. Just as much as you're going to benefit from their service. So please keep that in mind as you move forward in this process. So there are some sub-site reporting requirements, and we're going to go into more detail about this later once the program year really kicks off. But I just want to make you aware of what those reporting requirements now, so you have a sense of what's to come. There will be a 6-month progress report that you will be submitting to NeighborWorks America. There are quarterly narrative reports about the progress and the accomplishments that your VISTA members have achieved over that quarter. And then there are attendance reports. So you will be letting me know as the sponsor if there's any hiccups with attendance or issues where that's concerned. You will be responsible for ensuring the data accuracy. So we will be providing you with a data collection tool to help you with that process. And again, we'll get more into reporting later in the program year. And you'll also be providing NeighborWorks America details on your planned outcomes of the project. And this information all gets compiled here at NeighborWorks, and then we package it, make it real pretty, and we send it off to CNCS. So So here are the important dates that you'll need to be aware of. And like I said, these slides will be going out to you via email, and I'll also be emphasizing these dates throughout the summer. So I'm just going to go down the list so everybody has an idea of what exactly we're talking about. So the first thing to be aware of would be May 10th, this Friday. We have a webinar starting at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, specifically on how to recruit your VISTA member. If you can't attend it for some reason, we will be recording that webinar and sharing that recording. But if you are available, I do encourage you to attend, because that really will give you an opportunity to stay more engaged and ask questions at the end. On May 20th is when your VADs and opportunity listings will be due in the eGrant system. So that May 10th webinar is going to teach you how to construct your VAD, how to construct your opportunity listing, and how to upload that into eGrants. If you don't know what eGrants is you're not familiar with it, that means you don't have an account, which is fine. The next email you will be receiving from me is going to detail how exactly you set up an account in eGrants. I just want to note that these are individual accounts. They are not organizational accounts. So the individual needs to set that up, and you should not be sharing eGrants account. So whoever the designated VISTA supervisor is at your site should be the person with the eGrants account and the person that interacts with eGrants through this recruiting time. You'll also be receiving an email from me with the Memorandum of Understanding for the VISTA program. So you'll want to read over that and sign that and get that back into us by June 14th. July 10th is when we will be offering the webinar on how to construct your on-site orientation training plan. So this is the plan that you're going to lay out for your incoming VISTA member. These plans should be a minimum of a week long. Ideally, it goes into the second and third week of service. This is laying the groundwork for your VISTA members. You want to make sure they get off on the right foot. So we have a whole hour devoted to talking about how to construct a really solid on-site orientation plan. And then July 19th is your due date to NeighborWorks to submit your nomination paperwork. So before July 19th, you will have identified and selected your VISTA candidate. There will be paperwork that you'll be turning into NeighborWorks, and there'll be some online work as well in the eGrant system. And we will be going over all of that on Friday, and then also in this comprehensive recruitment guide we'll be sending out. It covers step by step how you select and nominate your VISTA candidate. And then for all the supervisors out there, and this includes veteran supervisors, project supervisors, day-to-day supervisors, you will be receiving a 2-part training from NeighborWorks and CNCS in August. And the timing for this is actually really ideal. It's shortly before your VISTA members come on board, so the training can stay fresh, and it's a great time to ask us any questions. We'll be providing resources. You'll really get a thorough understanding of what your role is and what your responsibilities are as a subsite in the program and as a VISTA supervisor. And then August 19th, mark the date. That's when your VISTAs will begin on site. They report to service at your organization on the 19th. They will be attending an online training that day as part of their VISTA member orientation. And that also is the same day they are sworn into service and they take their oath. So all that good stuff happens on the 19th. And we will be sending out information on what to expect and what goes down that day, how to prepare. That all is going to be coming. So you won't really be at a loss for resources and to know what to do. But if any time during this process it does seem overwhelming or you have questions, definitely reach out and ask us, as we are here to, make it as seamless as possible and to hold your hand through this process and provide you whatever guidance and technical assistance you need. Many of you have done this before, and I thank you for being back in the program. And I think, for those of you that have had great experiences, you could be great resources for new supervisors. So during the course of this summer, at some point, Charlotte and I will be offering another webinar. We don't have it on the schedule yet, but it'll be an opportunity for some of our veteran supervisors to connect with our newer folks and, share success stories or what's worked really well, and just have an opportunity for all of you to connect with each other. Because the one thing you all have in common is that you're going to be in our program, you are VISTA host sites, and you'll be managing VISTAs and VISTA projects. And so the more opportunities we have to connect with each other, I think the better, because we can really share some great success stories. Okay, well, that concludes our PowerPoint presentation. So now we're just going to go ahead and open things up to questions. So feel free to use the chat feature online and chat in your questions. Or you also have the option of unmuting yourself if you'd like to be brave and ask a question over the telephone. Now is your chance. All right, I'm gonna keep things open for a couple minutes and let people ponder. We've got actually 15 minutes left in the hour, so you have our full attention for 15 minutes, which is great. Any question? No question is silly. If it is, we won't tell you. We'll just answer it. And this is not your last opportunity to ask questions. We'll have the webinar on Friday. You could email anytime. You could call. You'll be getting an email from me later today with these slides and with the recording. Okay, so I see something came in through chat about how the VISTAs get compensated. That's a great question. They are compensated through CNCS. They receive a payment bi-weekly from the Department of Treasury that usually comes in as direct deposit.
We also had a question about providing additional incentives to VISTA members. We definitely encourage all sites that can to provide additional incentives. They must not be cash or direct payments to the VISTA member. So if you'd like to provide a monthly Metro card or some type of gift card for gas or groceries, that's awesome. You are also able to subsidize a VISTA member's rent directly to a landlord. However, no payment to the VISTA member is allowable, and that takes the form of cash, Visa gift cards, checks, anything like that is prohibited.
Yeah, that's a great question, Melissa. And that's also something that you'll want to advertise in your service opportunity listing and wherever else you advertise your VISTA position. So if you're able to provide anything in addition to your VISTA, definitely mention that in your advertisement. That's very attractive. So for those of you that can offset some of the transportation costs and rent, it's a tough year. The VISTAs don't make very much money, so I do encourage you to do what you can. If you have any questions about that, you could also email us and we can answer that. I could share there's a policy about the different types of approved financial support you can provide to your VISTA. So I could also share that policy with you. I could tell you, NeighborWorks, we provide a rent subsidy and a transportation subsidy as well. So if you have any questions about how to do that, just email or call and we can go over that. Okay, any other questions? Okay, here we go. How will we be notified when candidates apply for positions through the portal? Great question. We're going to cover that on Friday. When you enter your service opportunity listing into the eGrants portal, you'll identify, maybe it's yourself or somebody at your organization who is to be alerted when somebody applies to your listings. You'll get an email. You'll get a system-generated email letting you know that somebody has applied to your listing, and then you go back into the portal and you can review that application. Yeah, okay, about how to provide rental or transportation subsidy. Okay, so one of the things I'll be sending you out is the policy regarding approved financial support. So I'll give you an example about how this could be provided. Here in the DC area, we use the Metro. So I will go in and add money to our Vista Leaders Metro card every month, and that offsets what it costs her to commute into her service site. So that could be one way of doing it. If it's a housing situation, you can provide a subsidy to the rental agency. You never give money directly to the Vista member. So in that situation, the landlord would receive a subsidy from your organization. It could be, you know, an amount that you choose. They don't have to be the same as what NeighborWorks offers or what any other NWO offers. It's whatever you feel your budget can handle. But I will say that usually, you know, rent tends to be the most expensive thing that Vista has to cover during that year. So if you are in a position to offer free housing or, you know, housing at a lower cost, please do what you can, because that'll really not only be just tremendously helpful for that Vista, but it also is a perk that will really make your listing pop when you list it in the eGrant system or anywhere else that you advertise.
Yeah, I just want to add to that really quickly that you do have to provide the same subsidy or assistance to all of your VISTA members if you have more than one. So they all have to receive the same amount equally every month if that's what you're choosing to do.
Okay, well, I just want to take a moment to say that if you haven't already started thinking about, you know, next steps in your recruitment plan, don't let the rest of this week go by without starting that process. You really want to put a lot of time and energy into recruitment up front. It really sets the stage. It makes all the difference. We want you to recruit well and wisely and make it be a good fit for the VISTA member and for your organization. And so that really does take a level of effort on your end in terms of making sure you have a strong VISTA assignment description, a great listing, you put some time and thought into your interview questions, and we're going to be helping you with all of that. We cover all these things in the recruitment guide that's going to be coming out later today via email. So, you know, I want to say we've left no stone unturned, but if we have, then please reach out to us with any questions. But we try to be as thorough as we can, walking you through this process step by step. So it's a pretty lengthy recruitment guide, but it really does cover everything. So, you know, we're partners in this and we support you. So when you have questions, we are here to answer them. Okay, well, I am going to call it and say we wrap up a few minutes early since there's no more questions coming in. And thank you for your time. You've all been asking great questions, and hopefully you'll all be on again on Friday. But if not, we will be recording that webinar as well. You'll be getting a recording. You'll be getting the PowerPoint. Look for the recruitment guide that's coming out later today, along with a lot more information. You'll also be getting that memorandum of understanding that I spoke about, and we'll be highlighting all the important dates that you'll need to be putting in your calendar. So there's more information and resources on the way. I just want to thank you for joining us today, and thank you for being part of the program, and thank you to Tina for being on. And we look forward to a successful recruitment summer and then a good launch in August. Okay, have a good day, everyone.